Over 50% of the player base is ranked gold and under, and the number one thing holding these players back are their mechanics. So I'm going to be showcasing some of the best aim routines to improve your aim and overall mechanics in 2023 in my opinion. And if you think that you need more help ranking up, let me tell you about the Immortal Roadmap program. This is possibly the best coaching service out there right now. They offer one-on-one coaching, which includes personalized drills, detailed player assessment, and even live sessions. They have tons of expert coaches from Radiant players like Kompeki to LCS All-Stars like X Special. In fact, they are so confident in their program, they are offering a 5 rank up money back guarantee over the 8-week program. And so am I. If you don't rank up with this program, I'll personally give away a Valorant Battle Pass to one person who likes this video and comments below. Check out the link in the pinned comment or description if you want to soar up to your dream rank today. First, we're going to start off with EG Demon 1's aim routine. If you play Valorant, you already know this guy is one of the best Valorant players at the moment and just won VCT with Evo Geniuses. Now let's get into a breakdown of his actual aim routine. He starts off the routine on aimlabs for a total of 5 different tasks. The first task is Strafe Track Ultimate. This task features an orb that strafes back and forth randomly, which helps you train and improve your tracking abilities. The second task is Headshot Standard. This task has one orb at a time that appears, and it's a point and click task. This focuses on micro adjustments and your flicking and is one of Demon 1's favorite tasks. The third task is VCT Latam/King. This task is very similar to the headshot task, except there are a ton of orbs instead of just one at a time. This helps train your flicking and your target selection skills. The fourth task is Multi-Shot Ultimate. This task spawns a bunch of orbs that are very close together. The main goal of this is to train your micro adjustments and small movements. Then finally, he finishes the aim lab section with Grid Shot Ultimate, which is a very popular task amongst most of the pro scene, and I personally don't really like this task, but it can be good in a sense to help you train your micro adjustments some more. And I just want to mention that having skill like Demon 1 isn't something that happens overnight, so just make sure to focus on precision over speed until you're capable of making the correct adjustments, instead of forming bad habits. I like to compare aim training similar to going to the gym. You aren't going to walk into a gym and curl the 70-pound dumbbells, so you need to realize you aren't going to hop on aim labs or Valorant and instantly be able to replicate others. Then he hops into the practice range and just moves around and micro adjusts and flicks between targets in the range with his Vandal. He does this for about 5 to 10 minutes before switching to the Sheriff, where he practices again his flicking and micro adjustments on the bots. Then he switches to the Guardian and repeats the same flicking and micro adjustment process. He then switches to Deathmatch, where he says to play 5 to 10 death matches, but he says this deathmatch portion isn't that concrete, so you can play as many until you feel warm. He also suggests that you can try to do a team deathmatch instead if you would prefer. Next up, we got Curry. He used to play professional Valorant on T1 and Cloud9, but has since retired because he realized that being a professional smurf will actually pay him more. His routine is a mixture of a tiny bit of Valorant with a good amount of aim labs. The aim labs portion was actually made by Minigod, who named it the better version of the Demon 1 routine. The first task is VT Control Strafes Valorant. This task is essentially a tracking task, which you are just tracking the enemy's head, so it correlates really well to if you are tracking an enemy's head in game on Valorant. The second task is Valorant Sidestep Tracking, which is another tracking task but only on the horizontal axis, since in Valorant, if you have good crosshair placement, you should basically only be making horizontal adjustments most of the time. The third task is Mini Headshot Strafe Click. This is a task that trains your flicking and tracking, which is another skill that's very crucial for Valorant. The fourth task is VT HS Strafe Multi-Click. This works on your click timing as well as your tracking and flicking ability. This one is actually pretty hard. I'm not even gonna lie, I struggle with this one a lot, and I'm a Radiant player. The fifth task is VT Valorant Small Flicks. This task is actually one of the more fun ones in my opinion. This works on flicking and micro adjustments and is really a strong task in my opinion, because if your crosshair placement is good, most of the in-game adjustments will be micro flicks or micro adjustments. The sixth task is VT One Wall One Target Valorant Hard. This task is another tracking and flicking task, but all of the orbs will spawn on different elevations, which makes it so, for example, if you were like in heaven on Haven, you may have a different elevation on someone sprinting up long or short than typically you would if you were standing on the ground by default. The seventh task is VT Vibe Shot Chaining. This is a longer range task similar to 6-shot ultimate, but the orbs will actually slightly move instead of the typical static orbs, meaning you have to flick and micro adjust to hit these, which is a valuable skill to train. The 8th task is CG adjust click micro. This is another micro flicking task which has a bunch of targets on a smaller board, which is ideal since most enemies that you will be fighting in Valorant won't just be standing still like a range bot. The 9th task is VT multi flick. This task is actually really cool and well designed. It essentially has big orbs that are far apart to practice regular flicking, and then also has smaller orbs that are closer together to also work on your micro flicks, which is actually very well designed. The 10th task is VT pulse shot precision. This task has a bunch of orbs that start off small and then get larger and closer towards you, which really does make you have to focus on your target selection since you are trying to prevent the orbs from hitting you and also precisely flick around. Overall, a pretty great task. The 11th and final task of this aimlab section is VT blind click Valorant. This task works on all of your key fundamentals you've been training throughout this entire routine. It has a mixture of micro flicking, and tracking as well, which is really nice for getting yourself warm before a gaming session. After this aimlabs routine, he hops on Valorant just to play one team deathmatch where he's just basically going to attempt to apply these fundamentals into the real game by not crouching, going for burst strafes and one taps while trying to be as accurate as possible. And I know Curry didn't create this routine himself, he just uses it. So a big shout out to miyagi as well, who actually created this entire routine. Now let's talk about a few different mechanics in game that I think are extremely important for you to learn. First, the most basic one is spray control. I constantly see people talking about you can't control the spray or whatever, but the spray only becomes random after I believe the 7th or 8th shot. With that being said, in order to control your spray efficiently, what you need to do is you should basically be pulling your mouse downwards while spraying for the first 7 to 8 shots. If you haven't gotten the kill by the 7th to 8th shot of the spray, I would suggest strafing so you can have time to reset your spray before taking another shot. Now the next important mechanic is burst strafing. Essentially, you want to shoot a burst of 2 to 3 bullets, and as soon as you left click your mouse, you should be moving again, and then stopping your movement, shooting another burst, and then continuing your movement again. This makes you a moving target at almost all times, and at medium to long range, this is always the most effective way to take a fight. I know one taps look flashy, but the reality is, in this game, there is first shot inaccuracy, meaning that even if you are aiming at a target, sometimes the bullet won't actually land where you're aiming. So it's better to go for a burst instead of trying to one tap and the game trolls you. The final thing that I want to talk about is pre-aiming. Essentially, this is when you position your crosshair on the wall before you peek an angle, but you're positioning your crosshair in a way so that when you do peek the angle, you don't actually really have to move your mouse to get the kill. You kind of just aim with your movement. Or if you do have to move your mouse, it's a very tiny micro adjustment. This is what every top player will do, and it's especially helpful when you're pre-aiming certain elevations. For example, on Sunset, in this close left corner outside of main, you would pre-aim where head level would be on top of this box instead of where head level would normally be if they were just on the ground. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I'm going to read them all. And if this video helped you out, drop a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Peace out.